All right, Pro Dumpster Diver back at it again. We have the greatest video on the channel to basically go over today. We have melted the 86 pounds of gold scrap, and today we're basically going to go over everything about it. For those of you who have been on the channel, you've been watching it for some time. A couple of weeks ago, we did a video on 86 pounds of gold scrap boards. And what we did is that we took the boards similar to, actually, I have some of them here, which is crazy enough. I have a new pack of boards that I'm going to put up. But what we're going to go over today, and I actually have it here right now, is the boards of what we did. Okay. So, for example, we took long, thin boards that kind of look like this. This is going to be part of a new video. And we took the gold itself, okay? We took the boards, we put the boards in muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide. We made an aquaregia. We had it sit in for a couple weeks. We took it out, we strained it, we filtered it out, and I ended up using a peptide, which I showed in the previous video, to basically syringe everything out. And I also got one of these bad boys, okay? So it took us a while, but I put everything in a glass. I put it under a heater. And what we did is we took all the boards, we filtered out the muriatic acid and peroxide, and also scraped the boards off with a file, and we got this, okay? So the glass itself, what you do is you weigh the glass before. So the glass weight is actually on the bottom. It's 270 grams. And right now we're going to calculate the amount of gold we actually get out of all of this, okay? So we're going to put this in live now. Wish we had a video editor who can give that to us right now. So we're going to calculate the gold we basically have right now, and this will tell us what we have. Okay, the total weight of this container is 382.9. So I'll just leave it at 382, okay? We're going to shut this off and move it over, okay? Now, let's use our marker since we have it here. The gold we have, the container is 300 and what was it, 82 grams, okay? Now the container weight here is 270 grams, okay? Now what we want to do is we basically need to divide that amount up to figure out what we actually get per this amount. Now remember, we did 86 pounds of boards, okay? So what we're looking at is 382 subtract 270, which is basically the weight of the container, and we're going to get 112, okay? So once we subtract that, we get 112 grams, okay? Now, inside of this container, as an example, we have 112 grams of gold in here. Now, this is not 24 karat gold. This is basically just the gold that we got out of it. Now, I was talking to a couple of jewelers yesterday. I ended up hitting a couple pawn shops, and they were giving me different pointers on what I'm doing, and they're very interested on buying the gold into little nuggets and bars so that they can sell it. Now, what happens is I have to take this gold in here, and I basically have to refine it. As you can actually see here, it's very, very thick gold in there. It goes, let me see if I can turn it around. The bottom part is right here, and it goes all the way up. I would say, actually, I can measure it for you guys if you want, how far that would basically go up. So it goes up about, I'd say maybe 1.5 centimeters up, okay? And the good part is I can put it this way. It's been heated, so I have a heater, and what I'm doing is I'll explain the process to you guys of how I got here. 86 pounds of boards into the muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide. We let it sit for a couple weeks. After that, we strained everything off into coffee filters, which are basically here. So we pour them into coffee filters, and I have a whole box of used ones of these. I have to melt out the gold. And then we took those out, we strained them and sprayed. We got a spray gun here, sprayed all the gold into a blue bin from the filters and then put it in here. We let it sit. After a while, the gold went to the bottom and it turned into blue water because of the copper. After that, we used a peptite when it got all the way to the bottom, but we started using a syringe because you can't pour it because the gold is going to pick up. After that, you put it in front of a heater and you let it heat all the way up till everything is basically a little bit solid. Like I can shake it now, it's not really going to move. Okay, this gold is kind of stuck in here. It's technically still wet gold, but it is basically, hot. Now, what we were looking for is when it comes to gold scrap, you have to be very careful right now. I wanted to get at least 1 gram per pound. Okay, so we started with 86 pounds of boards. So we should have at least 86 grams of gold. Okay, now the good part is we got about 112 grams right here. Now, again, this gold is not 24 karat. We need 24 karat. Now, I can sell it at 16 karat. I'll still get a price from a jeweler at 16 karat. I'll get a price at 18 karat, but it's the purity of it, because the purer it is and the more it weighs, you'll get more money for it, okay? They want 24 karat gold. So what we're looking at here right now is to basically get that done, which would basically end up working out. Now, with what we basically have here is a bit of an interesting part, because we have a lot more than 86 grams. We have 112 grams, okay? So if I were to go on a calculator, take 112 grams, subtract 86, I'm gonna get 26 grams. So 26 grams of this in here right now is additional. Now, again, it still has to, in order for this to be put into its purest form, I have to put this gold into nitric acid, muriatic acid on a beaker, which is going to be borsculate. After I do that, it's going to end up turning into the yellow liquid. I'm going to let it cool off. I'm going to hit it with sodium metabisulfite. Once I do that, we're going to strain off the top of the water, get the gold in the bottom. We're going to put that into a crucible, and then it's going to end up going in with some borax, because we need to clear out anything else, including the filter paper that's there. And then you'll basically end up having your nugget. And what you want to do is you can pour it into a mold itself to get a bar, or you can just pour it into some cold water. Very simple. All right. So what we're looking at is, how much is this basically going to be worth? Well, here's the thing. Out of what we actually have here, if I could take a marker and look at this right now, there is an additional 26 grams that's in here, okay, of gold or whatever. Now, let's look at what's called redundancy, okay? I have a lot more grams in here because I scraped off all the boards. When most people, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to call them, most people do videos on YouTube, they strain the gold out and they immediately put in. They don't actually scrape the gold off of boards. They don't want to, because it's pointless, right? Like, here's the thing, to be honest, there's still gold on some of these boards, but I have to scrape each and every single one. Okay, so how much is on there? I'll give you an example. I got the boards at 86 pounds, and it came in packets of 25 pieces, okay? There were a total of 4 by 4 by 5. So 4 times 4 times 5. So that's going to be 20 times 4 is going to end up being 80, okay? So there's 80 times 25, okay? So there's about 2,000 boards in there, okay? That I basically have to hand scrub each and every single one of them. How long do you think that's going to take, right? Even if it takes, and let's be honest here, if it takes me 5 seconds to do each board, right? That's 2,000 boards I have to go ahead and do. Times that by 5. That's going to be 10,000 seconds, right? How many minutes is that going to be? I'm going to divide that by 60, and that's going to end up being 166 minutes. I'm going to divide that again by 60 minutes in an hour, and it's going to take 2.7, about 3 hours to scrub each and every single one of these boards. 3 hours to do that. Nobody wants to do that, right? So again, I don't have to do that. Now, what am I going to get? I'm going to get a little bit more gold out of it, probably maybe 10 grams, okay? Now, some people say 10 grams is pointless. It's because it's 3 hours of you scrubbing boards that have muriatic acid on it right now that you need gloves with. You don't have to do it. I basically do it because that's just me, okay? Now, how much is this worth? Okay, what we're going to do is look at goldprice.org, and we're going to look at what gold is per gram. Okay, gold right now sits at $85 a gram. Okay, now we have 112 we have to purify. We have a redundancy of 26 grams in here. Let's just say out of this we get, out of all of this, okay, let's say we get 86 grams of 24 karat gold. Okay, now if we do that, that's great. What's that actually going to be worth? Well, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is multiply that. We're going to end up multiplying 86, because 86 is the grams of what it is per gram, times that by what gold is right now. So gold is at $85 a gram. We're going to times it by 86, because again, the whole point of doing this is we want for each pound that we put in to get at least 1 gram out of it. Okay, so it's going to be 86 times 85. Okay, and what we're going to get out of that in money amount is $7,310. Okay, that's what we're basically looking at. Now, is that possible? Yes. Why is this unit possible and not less? Because again, we have 86 pounds. I want to get 1 gram per pound, which is 86 grams. Right now, we have 112 grams and a redundancy of 26. And understand, there's still more gold on those boards. There's still more gold on it. Okay? So at the end, if I actually do that 3 hours and scrape off more gold, I might get 10 grams of gold, which brings into this, which is going to be 122 grams. And so the redundancy is going to be a little bit more. Okay, which basically means this 7 or this 3 might turn into a 4 or 5. Okay, now what we want, because the gold in here is probably what, 16, 18 karat right now. A lot of the blue water is off, and I've been working on this for about 2 weeks right now, and that's why this container looks like that. It's got all this blue around it. That's the copper I've been filtering off. I've basically been using this syringe to filter all the copper off as best as I can, and now we basically have a little bit of that in it. Okay, so 86 pounds of boards, we want 86 grams out of it. Out of 86 grams at $85 a gram, we multiply that there, we get $7,310. Now, that's what we have in grams, but that's not ounces, right? That's just grams, okay? Now, we have 28.5 grams in an ounce, 16 ounces in a pound. Now, if you have 86 grams right now, well, how many ounces is that? Out of 86 grams, we're going to end up dividing that by 28.5, and that's going to give us ounces, okay? So we're going to get about 3 ounces of gold out of this, okay? Now, this 3 ounces of gold is going to be our 24 karat, because out of the 112 grams, we're going to bring this down. We have 26 grams redundancy here, which is amazing. So basically, you actually have 26 grams to play with, which is amazing. Right? And right now, all of this gold in here is stuck. It's been heated up and solid at the bottom of it. So the crazy part is I got to get this gold out of this glass container, which is going to be a huge other thing right now. And I can't melt this, because the second I put a flame to this or heat it up magically, it's going to end up catching on fire and cracking. And that means I have to put glass inside of the other glass, borscalate. Can't really do that because that'll break too. Borscalate glass has a very high heat rate. Okay, so this is what we're basically looking at so far when it comes to the 86 pounds, okay? The container weighs 382 grams. This container by itself is 270 grams. We have 112 grams of gold, and then we have a redundancy of 26 grams, because when I said 86 pounds into 86 grams, we have this here, and this is what we'll get. Now, let's say we don't get this, right? We did a redundancy of 26 grams. So we just threw that out and just decided, let's just go with the 86, right? We get 7,300 grams. Let's say we even do a redundancy of that, and only let's take off $1,000. $6,310, right? Let's just take off $1,000 for whatever, right? We're taking off a couple more grams, just as an example, just to show this to you, right? Now, what did we pay for this? For this 86 pounds, I paid $450 for it online. Okay. I paid $450 for this 86 pounds. I bought it. I left it in the bucket for weeks. After that, I ended up getting 112 grams of gold right here. Okay. Now it's not 24 karat, because I said I just want at least 1 gram per pound, and I still got to scrape more off. So I might end up getting 10 more grams if I go ahead and scrape off all those boards. But that's going to take about 3 hours to actually do. Ain't nobody really want to sit there for 3 hours. Now, here's the thing, to be honest, just watch a movie. Like, I have a laptop right here. I could actually just end up watching Alien versus Predator, or just put on some of YouTube's free movies or a comedy and just be over it and just scrape it off into water. I could do that, because what's this 10 grams equal? Well, if it's $85 a gram and that's 10 grams I get, that's going to be $850. But that's not 24 karat, okay? Because when you look online, the price of 84 grams is 24 karat gold, okay? So our redundancy is 26. So with this 26 grams, we have a lot to play with. Now, what does 26 grams actually feel like? Well, let's get the scale back here again. What is 26 grams? 26 grams is actually pretty heavy right now. I'll weigh my vape. Oh shoot, what'd I do? No, what happened? What'd you guys do? You guys broke my scale? I broke my scale. Oh no. Dude, I've had this for like 10 years. Don't tell me it's broken. Okay, it's working. All right, so I'm gonna weigh my vape as an example. And that's 82. I want to weigh something a bit lighter. Yep, the scale died. Damn. Oh, got to get a new scale. All right, so basically if I weighed it, I wanted to weigh it and show what 26 grams would be. But that's basically it. So for all of those people who have been watching this channel for the weeks and weeks and years we've been here, you've been asking what's going to happen with it. We finally did it. We have all the gold from the container. It's 112 grams of gold. We have a 26 gram redundancy setting, so we can play with that right now. So here's a cool thing to think about. What happens if this 26 grams actually turns into 13? What do I mean by that? What happens when this 112 grams in here, we purify everything to 24 karat gold, and it actually turns out to be 100 grams of 24K? Right? Because we have this 26 grams to play with, because I said I only want 1 gram per pound, right? What does that actually mean? Well, if I exited this out, right, I'm going to end up having 100 grams, just as an example, doing that because of the redundancy. That means I have 100 grams of 24 karat gold. 100 grams of 24 karat by $85 a gram is actually going to end up being $8,500. And that's just redundant. That's just cutting this in half, which is 13 grams. Okay, that's just cutting it in half, right? So we've got a lot to play with this good. Now, some of you are basically saying, dude, but it took you 2 months to do that. Like, yeah. And some people don't want to do that, right? I had to watch this thing every day. I had to keep it away from the rain. I constantly had to put the plastic boards back on it because the squirrels are out there. I had to make sure water didn't interfere with the muriatic acid. I had to constantly strain it. I had to re-dip it out. I had to get a bubbler for it. So again, a lot of costs went into this. I even had to buy the transhem muriatic acid. I had to buy the hydrogen peroxide in bulk right now. Like, there's a lot of money that went into this and a lot of time. So here's a question. If I paid you $8,500 over the course of 2 months to do this, would you do it? Right? That's my question. That's basically about $4,250 a month to look on this, right? While you're doing your job. Because for me, I don't want to say the right word because YouTube is very different. I am a self-deletion. I'm an unalive counselor for military veterans. So military veterans who have PTSD, I basically talk to them to make sure they stay living. That's what I basically do, okay? I volunteer to do that, and this is what I basically do on the side right now. Okay, so for those of you who want to support this channel, please like and follow. I really appreciate it. But we have finally did it. I know a lot of you are asking, when's it gonna? But it took time. But guess what? We finally did it. We finally did it. And there's our gold. Okay, I ended up using a syringe to filter that off. I also ended up using this pipette, which is right here, which allows me to take everything out. And that's basically it, you know. And guess what? There are costs. You do have to pay for it. I had to buy it. I got to get a new scale. Why is this scale acting up? Like I push it down and then I touch it and then it goes off. Yeah. Again, you got to pay for some of this stuff. I had to pay for the muriatic acid, hydrogen peroxide. I used gallons of it. Gallons of it. Okay. And guess what? It took time, but we finally did it. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, follow, subscribe, comments below. Any questions? Thank you guys for being with the channel. As I said, this is great money to get. Do this on the side. Don't do this full time. Thank you to Sri Tips out there for putting out clear videos so people like me can follow. And thank you very much to all of you guys out there. God bless. Have a great day. Pro dumpster diver, baby. Back at it again. Imagine that. I'm holding about $7,000 in my hand. This is insane, bro. Look at this. And for those of you, I put up a previous video. Actually, what we're doing is I have this container here. This is my gold container that I bought at a thrift store. It's got a cool handle and it's just circular. It's just this circular thing by Coring brand. It's heat proof glass. So I'm putting all of the gold stuff in here right now. And what I'm going to do is we're going to fill this bottle up with gold scrap to melt. Okay. So we're going to be very, very busy. Very busy for the wintertime. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Oh, thank God we finally did it. Pro Dumpster Diver out.